Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters, and welcome to another Taste the Blood, the Month of the Vampire classic review. And this one is going to be the final review for the Taste the Blood, the Month of the Vampire. It's been a hell of a ride. Looking into the lore, the myth, and all the good and the gory that comes with vampires throughout the month of October. And I think a lot of our friends are a bit vamped out right now, considering all of the conversations and topics that we've been doing throughout the month of October. But my good friend here, Mr. Anthony Jordan of Anthony Jordan's Movies and Gaming, chose to join me today to talk about this final film in the Taste the Blood, the Month of the Vampire topics. And it is a film that he really enjoys. It's a film that I personally haven't seen in a very, very long time. I seen this way back, probably in, I'm going to say, the late 90s. So I knew about Lost Boys. I love Lost Boys. And if you haven't seen it, do check out the Retro Classic Movie Show stream that was recently did for Lost Boys, which Anthony was a part of. And yeah, so this came out in 1987, the same year as The Lost Boys. And as a lot of people have said, they said this is just as good as The Lost Boys. A lot of people consider this to be, The Lost Boys is considered the most iconic of the 80s vampire movies, but this is an 80s vampire film that has a much different tone, but is just as exciting. And the film I'm talking about is none other than Near Dark. So, Anthony, what is your earliest memories of seeing Near Dark?
Well, I heard about it for the first time, I think, back around 2017, and it sparked my interest. So I go on eBay and I'm like, see, it's insanely expensive. I'm like, shoot, it's out of print. Couldn't find it anywhere on streaming. Watched a few reviews, seemed interesting, and it wasn't till over the summer when I finally got to see it on Tubi for the first time. And like, I seen it like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, let me go to bed. I'll wake up and watch it tomorrow. And I was kind of nervous because I'm like, is this film gonna live up to the hype? Because I've had it built up in my head all these years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this movie's amazing. It's not, I would hesitate to call it a horror movie. I don't think it's a horror movie at all. It's a modern Western with vampires.
Yes.
It does, it's just really good. It's such a unique vampire movie that I don't think there's anything else quite like. And I loved it.
I very much agree. It doesn't feel like just your stereotypical vampire movie. It's not a horror film. It doesn't feel like a horror film. It's more like a westernized drama with a bunch of individuals about a family. And obviously, this new person that they're trying to bring into the family, which doesn't go over quite well. So, to talk about the film, let's look a little bit into the film. So, Near Dark is a 1987 American neo-Western horror film co-written and directed by Kathryn Bigelow in her solo directorial debut and starring Adrian Pasdar, Jenny Wright, Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen, and Jenette Goldstein. So straight away there, the one thing I noticed with the cast is you've got some big time legendary 80s stars and action stars that have starred in some amazing cult classics. Of course, the late great Bill Paxton, who was in Aliens, who was in Twister, who was in the Titanic. Lance Henriksen, also in Aliens, who also was in the Pumpkinhead film series. For me, one of the best television series ever made, Millennium. He was in that as well, which I loved. And you've also got, like I say, you have Jenette Goldstein, who, as you know, was also in Aliens, who was also, I think, in Predator 2, and she was also the mother in Terminator 2. So amazing actors and actresses that
Yeah,
have, some of that.
because this one used so much of the Aliens cast, as a courtesy, she actually asked James Cameron if it would be okay if she would have used so many of the cast members.
Yeah, and I don't know if you also notice in the near the end of the movie, near the where they're in the town, there's a cinema, and if you look at the billboard on the cinema background, it's got Aliens as shown.
Hmm.
If you there's an actual billboard above the cinema which is highlighting the movies, but there's only one movie on the billboard, and it's Aliens. So definitely a tribute to the cast who were in this, and of course to James Cameron, which, you know, he created a lot of the films that these people have starred in, and to give him a bit of a salute is all good in my book. But the plot follows a young man in a small Oklahoma town who becomes involved with a family of nomadic American vampires. So very simple, very similar plot to Lost Boys, except that they went to Santa Clara after the divorce of the mother, who was going there for work, and the whole town was run by vampires, where this one is set in Oklahoma. But the difference is it's not a bunch of young vampire teenagers running about. It's an actual real family. There's a dad, there's a mom, there's, I guess, Bill Paxton's character for me isn't like the older son, he's more like the uncle, like the crazy uncle of the family. And then you have the young member of the family. But let's quickly look at the character. So Adrian Pasdar, he plays Caleb Colton, who, as you know, he's like the lead in this. He's like I guess he's like the Michael of this, I'm assuming. Oh, that wrong clip. He's the Michael of this. You have Jenny Wright, who is like, she plays May, who, as you know, this is May. She's like the teenage daughter. She's like a young upcoming vampire. And but quickly just show this. I love this photo because I love the fact it's in black and white. So there's your four other main vampires in this, which is, you know, you've got Lance Henriksen as Jesse, you have Bill Paxton as Severn, then you have Diamondback, who is Jenette Goldstein, and of course Joshua John Miller as Homer.
It wasn't, if I remember, wasn't Homer technically the oldest one?
Yeah, I think he was. Even though he's a child, he's like, even the actor who plays him, he acts him like as a mature adult.
Yeah.
Like he has this mature personality to
They're
him.
constantly like aggravating him by calling him old man.
Yeah, and yet he's the one who looks like the youngest. So, in terms of plot, as you know, Caleb, he's basically out with some friends. He's in a bar, and then he's approached. You know, he sees me, who's hanging around the gas station, who basically, I believe, is there to seduce him, to probably kill him, because obviously it's nighttime. She wants to feed, but I think she takes a shining to Caleb, and she ends up converting him, or attempting to convert him into a vampire. This is when he's trying to later on get back to the ranch where he lives with his family in Oklahoma. But during that time, this is his family, that's his father and his sister. As the sun is about to rise, you start to see the smoke flaming from his body, and this is when the mobile home comes running past, and they basically kidnap him and take him away. So quite a strong start of this movie. So what's your overall thought, Anthony, on the opening of the movie and how it sets up the story.
I think it was a solid enough opening. We get introduced to this character, picks up this girl, and it's either, like you said, she takes a liking to him or wants to convert him, or she just like takes a liking at him and she's like, you're too good of a person for me to feed on. But then the hunger takes over, she bites him and runs off. And then within no time, the vampirism takes hold and he catches flames and gets abducted in the camper. It was a strong enough start to just set up the world we're going to be in and give you a little bit of mystery about what's going on.
Oh, definitely. That's one thing. I thought I didn't know, because, like I said, I've never seen this for many years. This is probably my second time seeing this in such a long time. And what I remember when I was younger, I remember it being a bit of a slow burn. But now that I've revisited it, I don't think it's as slow as I remember. Everything's pretty much set off and set up within the first half an hour of the movie. So, Caleb's now been converted into a vampire, and he's now in the back of this mobile home. And straight away, the character that Bill Paxton plays, which is Siobhan, he wants to kill Caleb straight away. But then I think Jesse, who's basically the leader of the gang, he holds off on him killing him. And I guess he thinks, right, one more to add to the family isn't going to hurt. And also Maze kind of fell for him. And this is where you really start to get to know each of the members of the family and get to know the different personalities. Like I say, for me, Bill Paxton's character, he's, for me, is just the crazy uncle of the group. And I think for me, now that I've watched it again, it's probably one of my favourite roles I've seen Bill Paxton in outside of Alien.
He does steal the show in this one.
Oh, 100%. Like some of the scenes in this, I'll show you some of the scenes. So I love this picture. I love this picture of them all in the dark. I think they should have made that the movie poster.
Yeah.
Like I say, there's me again. This is where they're in the bar, where basically poor Caleb hasn't got a damn clue of what's going on. And once he comes round to the realization of he's not normal, they basically drop him off. He says, I just want to go home, I want to go home. He managed, as I believe, he escapes and he heads to the bus station, and he has no bus fare. And then this is when he's picked up by the police officer, who basically questions him, and he says, I just want to get home to my family. And he basically checks him over and notices he's got blood on him. And this is when he gets back on the bus. He gets back on this bus to go back to Oklahoma after being kidnapped. But he starts to feel unwell because he's starting to feel weak because he's craving blood. And this is where he ends up in some town with me. And when he's in this town with me and the other members of the family, she says you need to feed. And, she ends up feeding him her blood to keep him alive.
And the part that's with the truck driver, and the truck driver does set something up there where he's like, if you shift in this way, you'll flip the truck, and that is going to be important later.
So with the truck driver who picks him up and picks me up, he's just like this crazy, well, not crazy truck driver, but he had quite a out there personality, and he basically, joking on, and then he has to stop because he's feeling ill. This is like you see when May turns up and she, kills the truck driver. He feeds off her because he can't kill. He just doesn't have anything to kill. And this is when he ends up going back to the motel room with me and the family. And basically, when they're together, he starts to come around to the idea of these individuals, and they start taking a liking to him as well. And I think, are they not in some motel or some cottage?
I'm trying to think. It's been a few months, but I know
So I
there's
think,
a motel shootout later on, but that's after the bars. Oh, this is where they agree to give him one more chance to kill someone.
oh, that, yeah. So they've kind of bonded now, and they're kind of making, like, gonna test him one more time. That's when they go to the bar, and there's like huge things go on in the bar. Like, this jackass is at the bar, and Bill Paxton's character like busts his balls a bit till an all-out fight breaks out, and things go on where he gets basically he provokes Caleb. So Bill Paxton's character basically, he's at the bar with Caleb in this. I guess he's like just a patron of the bar. He basically provokes this guy, and he goes to go after Bill Paxton, but then Bill Paxton's character Savon like says, "Oh no, hit him instead. He needs to learn." And next thing you know, he's beating the shit out of Caleb, and then Caleb's that pissed off, he gives him one left hook and he sends him across the room.
They come in the bar like a bunch of predators.
Yes, and it goes across the wall and lands on the pool table. That's when the bar owner is like, "Right, you guys have only 2 ways to leave. You either walk out or you're going to leave on your back." And he has a shotgun, and obviously he shoots Bill Paxton's character Savon, who's standing there like covered in blood. The patrons then realise, oh shit, something's not quite right, yeah. And that's when I think Bill Paxton's character bites into somebody. You also have the scene where the bartender is around Jesse, and that's when he's basically flirting with her. She's sitting on his knee, but it's all a massive setup. It's a setup for the character of Diamondback to slice her throat so Jessie can feed. Because she's not like a stereotypical vampire where she would just go up to somebody and bite the neck. She uses knives, and that's why this doesn't feel like a stereotypical vampire film, because they're not just going around biting people's necks. Yes, you see, obviously at the beginning they set it up with Caleb, but later on, every way that these go on, it doesn't feel like your stereotypical vampire film.
And good add like Lance Henriksen's character, like most of them anyway, date back to like the Civil War Western days, because Lance Henriksen's character was a Confederate veteran that was wounded and turned on a battlefield.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you wonder who turned him, though. I wonder if it was Homer. Because the fact that you mentioned his age, and Homer's the oldest one, and I'm sure Homer hinted at something along that lines in the movie.
And then he went on to probably turn both Diamondback and Severin.
Yeah, but mind, I just want to say I love them two as a duo.
Yeah.
I think they're perfectly matched. Diamondback and Jesse, and Lance Henrik and her were just amazing.
They should have done more movies together.
Definitely. And I wish, like, her career kind of did simmer down, but I wish her career had continued to, rise, because I did think she was a very talented actor, and it showed you how versatile an actor she was because of the many different types of roles she had. Like, she played the mom in Terminator, the role she had in Alien, and then Near Dark, Predator. They were all different types of roles.
And she looked so different in every movie that you can easily overlook that it's her.
Yeah. Like, I remember watching Predator 2, as she is pregnant in the scenes with the predator. It wasn't till later on when then something just clicked out. I'm sure that's her, the alien. So I had to Google it. This is before Google. And then that's when I started asking people around it, is that her from Alien? And they were like, yep. I thought she starred in an Alien movie. She starred in a Predator movie. She starred in a Terminator movie. And now she's in a vampire movie. Triple threat. A quadruple threat in my book. Straight away. So do you want to carry on the plot if you can remember it, Anthony?
Well, this is just listed. They're again still trying to goad the main character into killing, and he just won't kill. Meanwhile, we have this massacre at the bar, and he lets one person escape, so they end up retreating to the motel, and we get a good shootout where the police come, and it's at daytime, so as they start shooting the hotel, it starts punching holes through the walls, and while we know the bullets aren't going to hurt them, those holes are shooting little rays of sunlight through the walls.
Yeah.
And I should add, why this stuff's going on, we have his father and sister looking for him.
Yes.
But he finally brings up, if I put a blanket over me, I can probably run to the RV and get us, or whatever vehicle it was they had at this time, because I believe they ditched the RV at this point, didn't they?
I think they just got that large car. That's the one that explodes at the end.
Yeah, he's like, I can get to the vehicle and get us out of here. And he does just that, and they're all celebrating on the car, and Severin he takes off one of his spurs and gives it to him, and Jesse tells him something, all right, you got one more chance at this, and if you mess it up, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another touch I like. If you're a vampire, they're not going to let just anyone into this little family unit. You have to prove you belong, and the reason they've survived so long is because they're so selective over who they let join their numbers.
Mm-hmm. But I just feel like, as well, it's me that's is the one who's chose him to join the family, and I just think in all she's picked the wrong person to join this family, because he just was basically looking at this beautiful girl and hoping to get lucky, and then he started really finding her attractive and thinking, oh, I want to get to know this girl. He's just like a normal dude who is like somebody who wants a normal life in Oklahoma, where she's like this creature of the night, and she's the one who chose him. And I think it's like the wrong kind of person she's chose, because if you look at like Jesse, if you look at Savon, if you look at Diamond, they're all unique characters that I think are suited for that lifestyle, where he isn't. He's just like this country boy from Oklahoma who's been dragged into this situation that he's not prepared for. And I think May as well isn't really even like, you don't even know how old she is. I don't think they even explain how old she is. But she, for me, also isn't made for this lifestyle of being a creature of the night.
She's very selective over who she kills.
Yes.
If
And
I had to guess, I'd say she probably hadn't been turned even a full year at this point.
yeah. So, like you say, and then he has one more chance to kill. And this is when they're at the gas station where they meet his sister, and I think they bring his sister to him.
And Homer takes a liking to the sister.
Yeah, brings it, and he wants to basically convert the sister into another vampire. And this is where Caleb, who was, I think, willing to kill somebody and was willing to join fully, when he sees this, it makes him totally, turn and like, I can't do this. And he basically, him and the sister escape, and this is when they basically end up wanting revenge, or having to track him down to try and take him out because he knows the truth.
And the father tries the blood transfusion.
Yeah, he tries to, which mean I think because he hasn't had his first kill, he's not a full-fledged vampire yet. I think he has to kill himself and has to be able to kill on his own for him to be a full-fledged vampire. Because up to this point, he hadn't killed anyone yet.
In this one, vampirism does kind of skirt the line between something supernatural and something that can be explained scientifically.
Yeah, which is very, very different to what we used to. And then, yes, like you see, I think after that, this is where there's the final showdown where Mia comes to the farm and she's basically there talking to Kayla, but it's all a distraction for them to take the sister. And they kidnap the sister again. And after the sister's kidnapped again, this is where Jesse has no choice, but not Jesse, sorry, Caleb has no choice to take on the entire family. And you have that big showdown where there's between Savon and Caleb with the truck.
Which comes into play because of what the truck driver said about how easily you can flip one.
Yeah. And he flips the truck and kaboom. There goes Savon, which I think was a really great death scene. And I thought, oh, wait, it's the deaths in this are coming.
And the makeup job on Bill Paxton for this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, so that's him there on the poster. It's like, just looks awesome. And then obviously after that, the sister has been kidnapped again. After he's been taken, May's kind of been knocked out, and she's like sent to the farm, and she's locked up in the barn. And I think the dad, or I don't know if it's Caleb himself, attaches her to the transfusion and leaves her. And then
that was at the end, I think.
Yeah, oh, that's at the end. Yeah,
at the end.
So what ends up happening after that is Jesse wants his sister back, and then she's in the sister's in the back of the car, and it's nearly sundown. And then this is where Homer's got on the back of the car, but the car really isn't much protection for them.
He grabs the sister and jumps out in daylight.
Yeah, he grabs it and jumps out in daylight and starts hurrying to get back to the dad after the sister's been kidnapped, but Homer decides to jump out of the car and follow her, which for me this is the best scene in the entire movie, where Homer jumps out of the car and he's basically chasing after the sister. And as you can see there, he slowly starts to like steam up, his face starts to burn, and then next thing you know, you have Jesse and Diamondback turn in the car as they were driving away. I think they initially were going to leave him, but then they have a change of heart and then they turn back to go rescue him. And as they get closer to him, Homer just explodes with the heat of the.
I think he just was like, you know what? Either I get what I want or I'm going to go out with a bang.
And he did. And you see Jesse and you see Diamondback in the car and they're holding hands. And that's what I loved about it, because even though they're all vampire, it felt like these were a real couple that were really in love.
There's a legitimate affection between the two of them, and they're like, it's the end of the road for us. We're just going to go out on our own terms.
Yeah. So that it's like, you know what? It sounds weird to say this, but it felt like it's Thelma and Louise, where, you know, they hold hands and they drive up the cliff. Like they're just holding hands, driving towards Caleb and everyone after Boom has been killed. And as they're driving towards it, and the flames start to come about the face, and that you can see they're still holding hands, and she's smiling, but she's got tears in her eyes. And he's like just got this like smug look on his face, and then obviously the car explodes as well with them inside, which ends them. And then, like you mentioned before, May's been locked up in this barn, and also
she wasn't locked up. She was the one that grabbed the sister and jumped out of the car.
Yeah,
because remember, she fell to the road and this is kind of where I'm wondering, did they originally shoot an ending where she died
Yeah,
and it didn't do well with test audiences? Because if you look, there's no way they could have gotten shade on her quick enough.
yeah. Because she got the sister out the car and then collapsed because of the heat of the sun. And then obviously she survived, and then because she survived, she's put into the bone and she's given a blood transfusion, which seems to, like you see, all of a sudden cure her vampirism. And it seems like because they're now cured, her and Caleb can actually legitimately be together and live like their lives in normality. Which I found very strange, like how that can just happen. But I don't know, it could have also been a case of the person who said it has now been killed. And if somebody who says it is killed, then you revert back to humanity.
It's something I do like that they don't give too much of an explanation on how vampirism works. They don't even use the word vampire in this movie once.
Yeah, they don't even like say the word vampire. It's like all up to interpretation, or your imagination. But Near Dark, after revisiting it for a second time in a long time, I can honestly tell you I have a more affection for it. Because, like you see, it's not just a vampire film, it is more of a spaghetti western film. And I don't know why, I also got feelings of when I watched Three from, what's it, the Rob Zombie film? Is it Three from Hell?
That was his last one, I think.
Yeah, and what was the one before that?
Devil's
Devil Rejects. I got vibes of Devil Rejects in this, and vibes of Three from Hell. Especially at the end where I think it's Devil Rejects, where there's all the policemen are lined up,
I
and
haven't seen any of them, but I believe the second one was the one you're talking about with the shootout.
yeah, the shootout with the police, and they know they're gonna die, so they end up just walking towards the police, not giving a damn. And the ending of this with Jesse and Damon back, it felt very right. That was like, right, if we're gonna go out our way, and that's just be rebellious. And I loved it. I did. I liked it, and it did bring back some really good memories of films that I've seen, and also it's given me a new appreciation of this film.
And this film had some of the most beautiful nighttime shots you will see in any vampire movie.
Oh, I agree. Like I said earlier before, this particular shot when I seen it, and this is before I watched the movie, I was like, oh yeah, that should have been the movie poster.
Yeah, just kind of center it a little more and then have the title on the top and the credits on the bottom.
Absolutely. That would have been ideal. I think they missed the mark with that. And like I love these black and white production stills as well. I just think the
My, my favorite line in the movie, it was after Severin gets killed and Jesse shows up and he goes, I may have taught Severin everything he knows, but I did not teach Severin everything I know.
Yeah, very true. And like I say, I love Bill Paxton in this. I think it's my second favorite role outside of Aliens. Now that I've seen this again,
I
and
heard like a kind of funny behind the scenes story with this film, like the vampires, they like stuck together throughout the filming. And
yeah,
one day, like on the day off, they decided because they were close to Los Alamos, I
yeah,
they decided to go visit it, and they got pulled over by a police officer wanting ID. And Lance Henriksen, who in character driving, he just stayed in character as Jesse, and it like so unnerved the police officer. The police officer's like, just go.
yeah, very true. I've just read something here about it as well. Near Dark features three actors from Aliens, two of whom Paxton and Henderson had also previously been in The Terminator, and the other of whom Goldstein would later be in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. However, there is also a much more obscure casting connection between Near Dark and the Terminator movies. Robert Winley, who played a baker in the bar scene in Near Dark and who had never been in any James Cameron movies at that time, later played the baker whose clothes, boots, and motorcycle are stolen by the T-800 in a very similar bar scene at the beginning of Terminator 2. His characters are identified in the credits as patron and bar for the former movie and cigar baker for the latter.
And another fun trivia, since we're bringing up Terminator, part of how James Cameron actually pitched Terminator to the studio, he had Lance Henriksen come down with him, kind of in the sunglasses, and just walk around and ask questions as he would as the Terminator. And then he kind of revealed, this is what I have in mind for this character.
Oh, I could imagine that 100%. Just like The Lost Boys, I don't think I would like to see a remake of this. I think it should be left well alone. But I do know that a remake of the film was announced in October 2006 as a co-production between film companies Rogue Pictures and Platinum Dunes, with Samuel Beer attached to direct. In December 2008, Platinum Dune producer Bradley Fuller stated that the project had been put on hold due to similarities in conception with Twilight in 2008, a film which has also contained a romance between human and vampire characters. Well, that's the only thing I can thank Twilight for.
Now, back when the cast was younger, I would have been all for a prequel movie given some of their backstories.
Yeah, or even like a Near Dark set in the, like you see, the time where Jesse was converted into the vampire. And then you could have had Diamondback. Why was she named Diamondback? Is it because she worked in a whorehouse during the time of the war? Or was she the madam of a whorehouse? Or, what's the reason behind her name?
I don't know, figured it was kind of a nod to the Diamondback Rattler, that she was just as deadly as one.
Yeah, it probably is, because especially with it being in Western, it's just connected to a snake. But it would have been interesting to see if there was a much more deeper meaning behind her name.
And I think like some of the little touches, like her having the knives, they were actually encouraged to come up with little things about the characters themselves to add their own personality to it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying to you. That's what I loved about this, with it being outside of a normal stereotypical vampire movie, is that they don't show the fangs. They don't show you them like you do. Obviously, there is, like when Jesse and May's in the car, the kissing, then she bites his neck. You don't see her fangs, but you kind of get the gist of what's going on.
You don't even hear the word undead mentioned once.
Yes, and then of course, as the film progresses and they've all got their own personalities, I love the fact that Diamondback had the knives, and that instead of just say going up to somebody, pulling them back and ripping into the neck, she slits the throat to drink the blood. And I just thought that was a unique, thing to do with a vampire movie, especially when we've seen how many times we've seen gory death scenes where people get the throat ripped out and all that. That's what I liked about it. That it was something different that stands out because it is different for all the right reasons. So if you
do different as long as different is good.
yes, it all depends on stories and character development and how it, the cinematography and how it's put together. If they do it in a way, a really interesting way, then it'll work. But if they do it in just a lazy way, then people are going to see it and just not care. Which this film, a lot of people have a lot of love for, so it's very much thought of as definitely a vampire classic. Final thoughts on Near Dark, Anthony?
I absolutely love this movie. Perfect casting, just amazing cinematography. All the characters, they felt like they acted in ways that were true to the character.
Mm-hmm.
So even at the end, like when Homer runs out of the car after the girl, it's not just him being stupid. He's been a kid for probably hundreds of years, and he's sick of it. And he's like, he's going to have someone else that's just like him, or he's just going to let the son claim him. It doesn't feel like a stupid decision at all. He's just one way or the other, this ends for him. So,
Oh,
phenom-
yeah.
phenomenal film, kind of a super underrated gem. Those that know about it don't absolutely seem to love it. And if you haven't seen it, by any means you can, look it up. I'm pretty sure you will enjoy it.
Yeah. If there will be a means to watch it, even if it won't be that expensive on Amazon or wherever you
I
can find it.
For like a 4K Blu-ray in the works for it.
Oh, is there? That'll be interesting. Be nice to see what features they have on the 4K.
You like get I know not the whole cast. Obviously, we don't have Bill Paxton anymore,
Yeah.
but at least get Henderson and Jenette Goldstein on and just record a new commentary for it.
Yeah, well, you could even get the actor who will probably, I don't know how he would be, who played Homer on
Just
this.
Shout Factory or Arrow really should take the reins on this.
Yeah, so Joshua John Miller, who played Homer, he's only 49. He'll be able to definitely do a commentary. Jenny Wright, who played May, Adrian Pasdar, who played Caleb. I'm sure they're still available to do commentary or do a small documentary on this. But if you had to rate this, Anthony, what would you rate it?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10.
That's
9 out of 10. It's unique, it's different, it stands out for all the right reasons. It's not just your stereotypical vampire movie. It has some really great action sequences in this, some great characters. The story stands out for being not just your stereotypical vampire film. It's smart with what it's crafted. That's what I like about it. It's not a horror movie. It's more like a Western drama with the twist that people in this are vampires.
they're outlaws that just happen to be vampires.
Absolutely. So what I know we're in the last week of October. You know, this is the end for Taste the Blood, the month of the vampire, which a lot of people are probably going to be fucking happy about. But what's
Tony of the Dead chiefly.
Yes, but what's coming to your channel in the next couple of days leading
Well,
into Halloween?
today I have both my top 10 favorite horror actors, and it's kind of a more outside the box horror actors. Like if I remember, I left some obvious, like say Robert England, off of the list, although some more obvious ones are on there. Don't I just did what came to mind, but I have the favorite horror actors video. I have my Wendigo journal premiering, which I'm curious to see what people are going to think of that story. And then I have my video talking about why I was wrong about Halloween 3, talking about from when I first watched it to when I rewatched it and grew to love the movie, and finishing the month off with a review for both Late Night with the Devil and Halloween H2O.
I'm looking forward to Late Night with the Devil, especially with David Delmontian, who played the lead in that, who was very much an underrated actor.
I hope this gives him more lead roles.
Well, I think the film that came out the year before, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, I think that's did a lot for his career. Even though it's not a film that has had a wide release, a lot of people have given a lot of attention to. I thought his performance in that was outstanding. And he was fantastic in that, and I honestly believe that did wonders for him. And I think that's what led to Late Night with the Devil. Now, Late Night with the Devil, though, surely it'll have put him on the map as a very reliable and talented actor.
Yeah. He's like not just that supporting actor you see anymore.
No, he's stepped out into his own, which is good. But anyway, this, when it comes to the entertainment headquarters, obviously now that this month's coming to a close, I will be returning to my normal segments as always, and I like to bring to the channel. On Halloween, you will be seeing the premiere of my Bran Castle mini blog, which is what I have put together after my travels to Romania and learned a bit about Vlad the Impaler and the history and the lore of Dracula within Romania. Once that's out there, I have a number of things planned for the month of November. I will be doing a retro classic movie show with DJ Anubis on the movie Cyborg from the 1980s. I will then be doing the next horror Into the Darkness franchise discussion, which will be Candyman. And then I have a couple of reviews that I've wanted to do for a while, and I'm finally going to have the time to do. And I also have my top 10 film remakes, and I will be doing at the end of October. Sorry, we are at the freaking end of October. At the end of November, I will be returning with another Kaiju Connections review, and we will be reviewing Tarantula, which I believe is from 1955.
The Candyman one, a good friend of mine, Lethal One Gaming, he's from Chicago. So I'm going to have a few comments from him about the actual Caprini Green apartment building, because he said like even hardcore gang members, it was so violent, even hardcore gang members were afraid of that place.
Wow. Well, this is going to be interesting. So people, check out for that coming soon to the entertainment headquarters. Please like, share, and subscribe to Anthony Jordan Movies and Gaming. He does a lot of great content. If you're into your horror, he's the channel I would definitely recommend to go check out. He knows his stuff. And if you've liked this review and you like what the entertainment headquarters brings, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel as well. But like I always say, keep on enjoying all things entertainment. This has been Taste the Blood, the month of the vampire, and I can't wait till next year to bring you another month full of amazing horror content. But until then, from me and Anthony Jordan, we'll catch us all at the next one.